Over the course of Throwback Weekend, one paint scheme in particular got NBCSN, NASCAR media, and the entire fan base talking. Bubba Wallace, whose 43 usually sports a tribute to Richard Petty at Darlington, graced the red, green, and purple colors of Adam Petty. On television, the paint scheme popped under the bright, flashing lights of Darlington, and it rightfully deserved my Best in Show award. Today I've decided to take that accolation a step further and analyze the story, tragedy, and developing legacy of Adam Petty. Growing up in the late 2000s, early 2010s, I haven't witnessed many personal connections to Adam Petty. He always struck me as a tragic figure, as I only knew about his untimely death through internet articles and documentaries on the Speed Channel. With some core research, I've been able to develop who Adam Petty was and what type of person he was shaping up into the future. Viewer discretion, there are some hypothetical questions in this video considering some of these unwritten chapters. Nonetheless, let's get into the content. Over the course of NASCAR's first 50 years, the name Petty was ingrained into the tradition and heritage of the sport. Lee was the first generation as he won 54 races in his number 42, including the inaugural running of the Great American Race. Not to mention 3 series championships cements his place as one of the league's greatest drivers. During that time frame, he was grooming his son Richard to carry the name, ultimately awarding him the number 43 to carry down the line. Everyone knows his career stat line. 200 wins, 7 championships, and 7 Daytona 500s gave him the nickname The King. Arguably the greatest driver of all time, and some of his accomplishments are unlikely to get broken here in the modern era. The third generation would be Kyle Petty. Bouncing through several teams, he carried the number 44 from 1997 to 2000. While he netted 8 checkered flags to his name, not much success was achieved over his 2-decade career, at least compared to his father and grandfather. That next person to carry the name into the 21st century would be Adam Petty. As the eldest son of Kyle and Patty Petty, Adam would become the first 4th-generation star on record in American sports. For the High Point, North Carolina native, he cut his teeth on the short tracks of the ASA National Tour. Bankrolled by the Sprint Telephone Company, Petty would undergo a steep learning curve driving for Leroy Throop. The 45 Pontiac featured tons of engine failures and mechanical issues that saw him DNF out of 6 races. When the second half of the season began, however, Adam Petty scored a victory at I-70, leading 50 laps en route to the victory. He was also able to consistently produce results, scoring 3 straight top 10 finishes, including a 4th place outing at the Southern National Motorsports Park. The final campaign statistics saw him earn that 1 win, 3 top 5, 7 top 10 finishes, 101 laps led, and a final points finish of 14. Not an earth-shattering season, but you have to remember he's only at the young age of 17. Most teenagers his age today can't even back out of a Chick-fil-A parking lot. Once he learns the ins and outs of stock car racing, his experience should only grow from there. In terms of 1998, the most notable moment took place at the Beast of the Southeast, otherwise known as the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Adam would enter in the 100-mile ARCA race, competing for the win against Mike Wallace and Bobby Hamilton Jr. The neon-colored 45 went on to lead 27 laps to score the win under the lights. The $21,000 prize would enlighten any young soul, but this was nothing compared to the glories of reaching victory lane. This victory showed Adam Petty could win races when given the potential, and it would create some more buzz and hype for the still young racer. As adulthood blossomed for Adam Petty, so did his emerging rise in the sport. He was promoted up to the Grand National Division in 1999, racing the colorful number 45 Chevrolet Monte Carlo. Paired with Lance Dieters, the team went on a spree in Daytona, scoring an impressive 6th place finish and beating out Cup drivers Jeff Burton and Terry Labonte. The next weekend at Rockingham, however, Adam Petty failed to qualify for the 43-car field. It would be a twisted coaster campaign. In fact, there was a stretch of 3 races where Petty only completed 22 of the combined 700 scheduled laps. Kyle Petty's Xfinity program was a disaster at that point in time, so it's no surprise the young driver in his teen years couldn't consistently improve in overall performance. In the end, Adam Petty's rookie campaign didn't parallel the fellow generational star Dale Jr., scoring 0 wins, 3 top 5s, 4 top 10 finishes, and 3 DNQs. At the turn of the millennium, Adam Petty continued driving for Petty Enterprises in the Grand National Division. On top of that, however, he would get his baptism into the NASCAR Cup Series at the Texas Motor Speedway. Needing to qualify on time, Adam Petty sprinted to 33rd on the speed charts to make the big race. He was consistently logging laps and learning the big circuit of Texas before Adam's engine unfortunately expired and left him 40th at the race's conclusion. The remaining 2000 schedule would see him attempt NASCAR's most grueling race, the Charlotte 600, along with the Bristol Night Race, Martinsville, and the season finale at Homestead. Those are some difficult races, but in terms of driver development, challenging tracks are the places that build depth and skill level. In terms of the long-term future, Sprint signed a 3-year extension to become the primary sponsor of the 45 car. Adam Petty would finish his full-time Grand National campaign and race more part-time events in the NASCAR Cup Series. Eventually, a new era would begin on February 18, 2001, with Kyle Petty passing the torch to his son to carry on the Petty name. Analyzing the state of Adam Petty in that moment, the long-term outcome greatly brightened up the short term. Petty Enterprises as an organization was greatly deteriorated, which was exposed after Bobby Hamilton Jr. departed in '97. Indications of a rebuild were obvious as Kyle Petty returned home to become CEO and the team would feel dodges upon their return in 2001. Realistically, Adam Petty was not going to tear up the circuit like Matt Kenseth or Dale Jr. Heck, he was going to finish outside the top 30 on multiple occasions and even miss some big races. Anyone who expected him to instantly bail out this dwindling operation definitely needed to overdose on chill pills. Over time, as the equipment and core added traction, the 45 would steadily climb up the leaderboard. With the proper guidance, I think Adam Petty would have at least contended for a playoff position and maybe snag a victory or two by the mid-2000s. One thing that's for certain is he would have become a fan favorite with his humbling personality and charisma behind the wheel. Maybe not the most popular driver, but he would have been a face of the sport alongside Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. Not to mention his last name was going to earn him multi-million-dollar contracts, endorsement deals, and massive media publicity from corporate America. I mean, what company wouldn't want to market Adam Petty to the mainstream American? This 19-year-old kid was going to make an impact on an already growing sport and have a successful ride as the heir to the Petty throne. That is, until tragedy struck on May 12, 2000 at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Adam Petty's throttle stuck entering Turn 3 during a Grand National practice, impacting the wall head-on. Despite the efforts by the safety crews to cut and remove Petty from the vehicle, the crash fractured his skull at an instant. Adam Petty, a young kid with his entire NASCAR career ahead of him, was gone in just the blink of an eye. Just 1 month prior, the family lost patriarch Lee as he died at the age of 86. While the passing of Lee was hard to get over, the death of Adam Petty was a travesty. It was hard to see their young blood grow up, graduate high school, and climb up the NASCAR ranks only to get taken away on that fateful afternoon. Nobody suffered more than Kyle Petty, as he not only lost a son, but also his passing of the torch. Kyle was ready to become the father figure to Adam, much like Richard was to him, watching atop the pit box and emotionally supporting him every step of the way. Instead, he and his wife Patty underwent every parent's worst nightmare, burying their own child. It's a painful experience, and I wouldn't wish it on even the worst people in society. So with sponsorship lined up for the next 3 seasons, Kyle Petty took over the 45 to honor his late son. The highest point occurred during the 2007 Charlotte 600 as Bill Wilburn made a great fuel strategy call to earn track position. Kyle would bring home a 3rd place finish at the same destination where Adam won his Speedway debut. The car would race until 2008 as Petty Enterprises ceased operations and the number has remained in the woodshed with no indications of returning. The biggest impact from Adam Petty's legacy, however, relies in the Victory Junction camp. When he wasn't racing, you often saw Adam in pediatric hospitals visiting children with medical conditions, trying to bring them joy in otherwise rough times. Since the beginning of his NASCAR career, one of his dreams was to open a camp in North Carolina and provide those unfortunate souls with basic childhood memories. He started saving money and mapping out the camp, but we all know Adam wasn't able to finish the story. This is where Kyle Petty made his dreams a reality, as with some additional help, Victory Junction opened in 2004. The 84-acre facility in Rattleman, North Carolina has given thousands of children the access to summer camp at no cost. For a name unable to build a career resume, this camp has created a long-lasting legacy in his name. Ironically, that camp has also helped current Richard Petty Motorsports driver Bubba Wallace. May lured a dark cloud over the organization as there were rumors of the 43 scaling back to part-time or even ceasing operations entirely. Around that time frame, Worldwide Technology CEO David Stewart submitted a great attribution of money to Adam Petty's life's work. In return, Victory Junction stepped up to sponsor a huge chunk of events on the 43, likely keeping the team afloat through the 2019 campaign. While many saw it as a random act of kindness, I think the donation goes in part of Adam Petty's down-to-earth persona. You saw it with his brief time on Earth, as despite the rich family legacy and celebrity status, he always made time for the fans and those less fortunate than himself. Now of course, had Petty survived the crash, the landscape of Petty Enterprises could be remarkably different from the merged one-car operation of RPM. Maybe not a championship caliber team, but the presence of Petty could have retained enough sponsors to keep Petty Enterprises in business. In terms of exclusively today's timeline, I think Adam Petty and Bubba Wallace would have developed a great relationship both on and off the pavement. Through his first 2 seasons, Bubba has carried the burdens of representing African Americans in NASCAR as well as the stresses of depression and long-term stability at RPM. With the pressure as an emerging NASCAR figure in middling equipment, he has the same humbling personality as Adam Petty as well as the passion to excel behind the wheel. More than likely, Adam Petty's time as a NASCAR driver would be coming to a close as all 42 of his competitors in his debut have since retired. He certainly would have not only been a great mentor for Bubba Wallace, but for the organization as a whole. So here in 2019, it's greatly unfortunate Adam Petty never got to age and grow as a driver and figure in the sport. Possibly, the today 39-year-old could be one of NASCAR's greatest drivers and have the same mainstream stardom as recently retired Dale Earnhardt Jr. Or maybe he never would have succeeded at driving, but would be remembered as a people's racer and a genuine good guy for the sport. As for reality, his legacy resides in his joyous image both for NASCAR and Victory Junction. I'm glad his character and personality was honored on Sunday. Hopefully this video helped you connect to Adam Petty and what his career was shaping up to be, especially if you were born in the 21st century. So anyways, this is NRF signing out, and just remember, life's the beach and then you drive.